Hello guys, welcome back again to my channel. We are going to be looking into a new module from your level 2 AAT Foundation Certificate in Accounting, or they call it Certificate in Accounting now, on the AQ 2022 qualification. And principle of costing is what do you call a continuation unit from AQ 13 called basic costing, and then when it comes to AQ 2016, you have what is that they call not principle of costing. There's elements of costing. It used to be called ELCO. Now they're calling this unit as PCTN, principle of costing. And this one is going to be almost nearly same exam as the AQ 2016. The slight changes here and there because element of spreadsheets been introduced in that exam. And then obviously there's not much change in the sense it's still a 1.5 hour question exam. And then you have 7 tasks and you will be assessed for 80 marks out of this exam. And then it will be upgraded to basically 100 marks from there. So you need to score at least 54 marks to achieve, not 54, 56 marks, I think, to achieve the required 70% pass rate. So in this case, 56 marks out of 80, it will be required from you. And then pretty sure you guys will be finding it a lot easier when it goes through this exam. I'll explain to you what are the potential pitfalls you may come across and study tips and when you're facing these kind of questions. I may pop up, bringing you spreadsheets on the side there to help you understand a bit of a spreadsheet equations whilst you're doing this assessment. And then also, since there is built-in spreadsheet in there, we will show you some more of that anyway. So it is expected of the students who's doing accounting to have some sort of a basic knowledge in regards to any sort of spreadsheets. You may call it Google Sheets, Lotus or Excel, anything like that way. The foundation is almost same, but it's all about how you know to utilize that to your, the organizational needs or your personal needs, if in case you are self-employed. So here, let's see this exam screen again. Similar to all the previous AQ 2022 modules I have done. This is based on something called an Atlas Cloud, and this is basically a standalone exam software, but it works on Google Chrome only. It's just the background of it. It will be run by something called Atlas Cloud. And when you actually sat for the exam, you'll probably see you have to log in using a particular AAT membership number and a password. It is not same as your AAT registration, because on AAT registration, you give your email address. But here on the Atlas Cloud, when you're going to log in into a PSI Online Bridge, it will say PSI Online Bridge. It will say you have to use your AAT membership number. Potentially, you may have to take that with you because you might not be able to remember that 10-digit number. Another thing is your password. Please make sure you remember your password without fail, because no one can help you if you forget your password. You have to reset it just before the exam. It's going to be giving you undue pressure before you even start your exam. I really don't like to go into the exam with any sort of pressure like that way. So let's crack on with these questions. So let's look at the first one. First one is task A and B there, and this is going to be based on RID has started working in an accountancy practice, has been given some financial reports in relation to some clients. So therefore, it is they're asking you to identify which type of report RID is looking at. So the report 1 is published at Companies House. Companies House is not within the business, it's an external body run by the government, of course, and it records all the financial information of a company or a sole trader, or if it's going to be a partnership, whichever it is there, it is external. If it's external, it has to be a financial information. Management information, on the other hand, anything to do with internal practices. So here for report 2, it says the advice on product sales and margins made. So that is something people outside the business may not incline to know that as a fact. You can just publish only the facts there, but here the margins to be made and product sales, advices of that one, it will be found on the management information. It's basically will be something on your budget. This here. Yeah, now next one we're looking at it. Within report 2 means is management. Therefore, it's all about costing as well. Management, like the principle of costing, it's mostly means 99% is going to be mostly the management accounting based. There will be something to do with financial accounting. Maybe it's going to be a hybrid question. Within report 2, Reid looked closer at the breakdown of cost for a client making beauty products. Classify which elements of cost they related to. You can classify the cost by 4 different methods. One of them is by the elements, which is labor, material, and overheads. Second one, it's going to be called, what is that again? By function. The function is going to be either production, or is it going to be what is that, selling and distribution, administration? They're going to be that one. And the third one is going to be not behavior, elements, this one. I think I couldn't remember the exact name of it. Behavior is going to be, it's going to be either behaving fixed, variable, or semi-variable. The fourth one is basically, I can't exactly remember that on the top of my head. I only taught it last week and I've forgotten it. So I need to check that with the list again, and what I have. But this is something to do with elements. So let's look at the first one. Wages. Straight away, you know, if it's staff supervising the production, we'll think, oh, that's going to be overhead. That is only if you're going to think about it's going to be a direct or indirect cost. Yeah, that is the one I have to say about. But they didn't ask you whether it's direct or indirect. They want you to know by elements. In this scenario, wages you're paying to supervising staff is going to be labor, because it's going to be an indirect, still it's a labor. Cost of coconut oil used in the production is material. Sales staff salaries, labor still. Indirect labor, but it's still labor. Packaging is going to be materials. Rent is going to be overhead. And then the cost to produce a new online website, it is also overhead, because they are not material, because you don't produce website for your business. If you think it's going to be a website making business, then it's going to be a material for you creating a website there. So that question's all been answered. Is 8 there. Okay, so I'm going to answer that and I'm going to move on. This task is about costing techniques. This task has part A and A to B. So it's only 2 there. Bowmore Electronics Limited make a single product. A production level of 5,000 unit has the following cost. So you have 1,000 kilograms of material at £30 per kilogram. Labor is costing at 2,500 hours out at £15 per hour. And the total overheads is £80,000. So there are 3 of the elements it's been listed. So now what we have to do, complete the table below to show what is the cost per unit at the production level of 5,000 units. So here, when it comes to 5,000 unit, we've been told this is the total cost. What do you call it? So unit cost here, but we need to find out which one it is. So I'm going to bring out my calculator. If I know my production cost, unit cost, it's going to be £6. I'm going to find the total cost at 5,000 units. So if I'm going to 6 multiply by 5,000, so the total cost in this scenario is £30,000. But if I look at here, my material also £30,000. 1,000 multiplied by 30 is all giving me same. So it is definitely material. But let's look at the labor. So if it's going to be labor for 5,000 unit, per unit is going to be 750, means £7.50 multiplied by 5,000 is going to give me 37,500. But if I look at this labor also, if I multiply 2,500 by this £15 per hour, it is also going to give me 37,500. So this is definitely material. But now, oh no, material, sorry, it is labor. I have to choose the right one here. Make sure the drop down menu will sometimes go up and down here when you're on the screen. Now see, you may not see all of it. You just have to make sure, scroll down to see what is left outstanding. So I'm choosing labor here. If you want to deselect it, just click that again. You will deselect that one. The third one here, they're asking you nothing here. So all I need to know now, I have to fill in the third element, which is the overheads. So if I've done the overheads, 80,000 is my total cost at 5,000 units. So I'm going to divide it by 5,000. I'm going to get £16 overhead. Okay, but then I'm going to remember why I have an extra line. Oh, it doesn't show me anything down here. So what I can think of, there may be another subtotal there. What do you call these two, labors and material? I'm going to look at it as direct cost. So the direct cost is the one it's missing. We need to make sure, find the direct cost first. You add these two together to find the direct cost. So I'm going to select here direct cost. And then now I'm going to put the overheads. And then I'm going to put it down as 16 pounds. I'm also doing this to 2 decimals because see that here, enter answers in 2 decimals. It's critical you do that. The reason I have seen students are not doing it that way and then lost 10 marks on that 1 decimal point or 2 decimal points they ignored, not willingly, but you thought, oh, it's going to be 16 pounds. I left it, but specifically they asking you for in 2 decimal places. Make sure you follow that instruction. And then look at that total. Now it is £29.50, and that should be the total cost for that one. Okay, now what we're going to do here, Balmore Electronics uh, are considering what the unit cost would become if they advise an alternative of overhead absorption method. Remember, what is overhead absorption? This is a method we use to absorb my overheads cost towards the cost of the product I'm going to make. I use 3 different methods. On level 2, you're going to learn about how we're going to absorb by machine hour, how you're going to absorb by labor hour, how you're going to absorb by units. In this scenario, what we also have to think about how I'm going to absorb them means how I'm going to calculate the rate. I have to find the overheads, the total budgeted overhead divided by the budgeted activity level, whether it can be machine hours, labor hours, or number of units you produce. And then you'll get the OAR for all 3 different methods. So here, the current method's absorption is based what? They're asking you here, how I'm absorbing this cost. I'm going to absorbing by units because we are not using any other method because they didn't tell you to absorb by any other methods. They won't absorb the number of units produced. So therefore, we're going to say current method is going to be number of units. Appropriate alternative basis for this would be because they haven't given you a machine hour. So only the other alternative can be is by the labor hour. So if I'm going to say the labor hour, I need to find out what is the meaning the overheads would be divided by what? We're going to divide by the total number of hours they worked, which is 2,500 hours. So we're going to divide by that 2,500 pounds, which would result in overhead cost per unit to remain what? Now let's see whether it increases, decreases, or remains same. At the moment, you see, we are absorbing overheads at 16 pounds an hour. So what we now have to do, find the OAR. What is the OAR now? Per hour, I have to use an OAR. And then also I have to remember how long it takes you to make a unit. So the first thing is find the OAR. Budgeted cost is 80,000 pounds. Divide by budget activity is 2,500. So it is going to be 32 pounds per labor hour I'm going to be absorbing. That is the OAR rate for labor. But how long it takes you to make one of those units? See here, 5,000 units take 2,500 hours means each unit takes half an hour. Half an hour to make one unit. That is the fact with the information they're given to you. If you take 2,500 hours, you make 5,000 units means per hour, I do 2 units. So 1 unit is going to be half an hour. But my OAR per hour is 32 pounds. For OAR in that case, I'm going to be absorbing half an hour worth of that overhead absorption into my product cost. Half of 32 pounds again is going to be same as this 16 pounds I absorb using the unit method. Therefore, this overhead staying the same. The overhead cost per unit now hasn't changed whether I use the unit method or the using by the labor hour method. So therefore, guys, luckily we proved it. It's going to be remaining same. So let's answer it and move on. See here, this task has parts A to B. A to B. Identify which type of responsibility center is most likely to be likely for each of the scenarios below. So individual rate, retail shop, what I'm going to say, it's going to be responsible for, because if you look at it, individual retail shop, a retail shop. Therefore, what happens? It has a revenue stream because I'm going to be selling something for retail. And then also I may incur cost within the business. And this retail shop, in that case, you're going to be comparing your revenue against your cost. This will be easily put down as profit center. Accounts department will not generate in revenue. They will generate only cost, because the on a big business, their sales department will be the primary profit center. Any other supporting department will be, or production department will be their cost center in this scenario. But if you look at the third one, the southern division of a manufacturing organization with its own capital budget. The meaning capital budget means they may invest on something, a new building, new what do you call, a store, or they may even invest in machinery. Whatever they do there, they have a capital budget they can invest on. So therefore, this is going to be an investment center, because they are have responsibility to disperse that capital budget for the business needs. So therefore, that's going to be used as a capital center. Now let's move on. Nook Limited is a manufacturer of virtual reality headsets. Oh, many of you have seen it, the VR, like Oculus from Meta. There's so many things now, available now. I haven't used anything on myself. I get real big headache if I have put something so close to my eyes. Now we're going to look at it. Use the alphanumeric coding based on one profit center and two cost center outlined below. So if you look at that, there is cost center here, profit center here, and there is two cost centers there. Two cost centers. This should I say? Yeah, this should be related to that one. Yeah, selling and distribution. Yeah, they should have put more there, because it's going to be a cost center for the others. So let's see here the code of the following revenue and expenses transaction, which has been extracted from the various records of the business using the table below. Now we have to decide what is the code and what subcode is going to be. Code is going to be either these four. Subcode is going to be like in this number: 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. So one of those numbers is going to be there. It will be a mixture of it in that case. Sales to York. York is based in UK, so I'm going to say sell, and it is 100. That is fairly straightforward. Sales in the UK is going to be that. Production staff's wages. So if you look at the production staff, you have to remember the people working on the production line. So therefore, we're going to do PDN. I'm going to use that as the direct cost. So here, PDN, and the direct cost is going to be equal to 300 there. Now let's look at the next one. Packaging cost for postages of headset. So therefore, this one, it's going to be going as an indirect cost, I assume, or maybe is it going to be a direct cost? Let me see what it should be, because if I'm going to look at it, every item I sell here, the packaging cost, it's going to be more related to it, because packaging cost for the postage, because it is going to be related to more you make, more you sell, more you charge on that cost there. So that means it has to go under, let me see, SAD, and then obviously it's going to be cost as a direct cost here. Sometimes I think of whether can that be indirect cost, but at the moment they are trying to give you a thought process for the new students. We have to look at it as the packaging cost towards postage of headset. It is going to be directly involved with your production. That means more you produce, more you're going to pay on your packaging cost. Less you produce, less you're going to pay, because you don't pay a fixed cost towards your postage, because obviously postage is going to be more you make, it should cost you more. The bigger it is, postage cost going to be bigger. It will be identical for the similar kind of VRX sets, because if I'm going to say the postage cost is going to be this, within UK, the cost is going to be same regardless where you send it. Okay, so it is going to be something I have to think about as SAD 700. Next one here, electronic components within headset. That is part of creating the headset. That is going to be for production, and it's also a direct cost. So it's going to be saying as 300 again. So same to the production wages. It is a direct labor. This is a direct material. A bank charge is going to be an administration, but it is indirect. It's nothing to do with directly to individual production, the products you make, and therefore it's going to be called as indirect cost of your administration department. Only 8 marks on this one, so let's answer it. Now move on to the next one. This task is about calculating overhead absorption rate and looking at behavior of costs. And we're going to look at these fixed variable, and then we're going to find how it changes with a different level of production. There is two things you have to remember whenever you get a question. The fixed cost, we're only talking about the total fixed cost will not change with the level of production. So you're increasing the level of production, your total fixed cost same. But when it comes to variable cost will increase with your level of production also increasing in the same manner. So like if I say one item is going to cost you variable cost of £2, 2 items will be 4, 3 items will be 6, 4 items going to be 8, 5 items going to be 10. It just goes. But remember that variable cost per unit, that £2, it is constant. It doesn't change. When your level of production changes, your total cost increases, but it only changes by that one factor there, £2 variable cost per unit. So those total fixed cost and the variable cost per unit are the two constants. They can be applied at any level. So here in this scenario, they want you to complete the table, fixed cost, variable cost, and the total cost, and the unit cost at the different level of production. Enter your figures for unit cost into 2 decimal places. All others must be rounded to the nearest whole pound. So therefore, we have to be careful. They don't have to be any decimals here, but these two must be decimals. So we follow what they're asking you to the book. So here, as I mentioned to you earlier, your fixed cost will not change. So I'm going to say fixed cost, bye-bye. And this one, fixed cost again, £30,000. It does not change. But the variable cost now, I need to find the variable cost per unit. So I'm going to have 12,500 divide by 2,000 unit. I have a value of £6.25 per unit. So that one basically can be applied at any level of production to multiply by the number of units. So 625 multiplied by 4,000, I have £25,000. Again, you can see another pattern here. This is simply doubled. If you notice that here, the cost, a number of units doubled, your variable cost also doubled. So here for 12,500 units, multiply by £6.25, and I have £78,125. £78,125. But if you notice also here, there is 1,000 separator. Here, we haven't put 1,000 separators. It is not necessary to do such because it is how they formatted. We don't have to worry about that format. We just have to leave it as it is. And these two, to figure this together, your fixed cost and the variable cost will give you total cost. Add these two together, 108, 125. These are full cost. Excuse me. Now find the unit cost now. Total cost divide by number of units. It will give you the unit cost. On the first scenario, the unit cost is going to be £13.75. On the third scenario, 108, 125 divide by 12,500. I have a value of £8.65. So that should give me the cost, a relative understanding of what happens when your production increases. So here they're telling you these costs now regressing, decreasing. What is the reason for it? They're saying here, as the units of production increases, unit cost either increase or decrease. It didn't stay same. It didn't increase. It decreases because what remains same at all level? Your fixed cost remain all same level. 2,000 unit, you get 30,000. 4,000, you get 30,000 cost. And 12,500, you have 30,000 cost as well. They didn't change. But what happened to the unit cost? It basically reduces because more and more units start taking part of this fixed cost. Therefore, the individual cost per unit is going to come down. Now let's answer this and move on. Now, task number 6. Now, this task about labor and inventory calculations. It is here they're giving you a FIFO, LIFO, and then also inventory. They're giving you a value here, and no limited pace time rate. Oh, that's a big question. 12 marks there. They want you to know. Complete the table below for the issue of inventory on 17th of March. Enter the values at the nearest whole pound. So for this one, I'm going to bring a good old Excel spreadsheet here. Okay, so we can share that Excel spreadsheet now while we're working on this to give you some sort of a good idea of how things get done when it comes to assessment questions. Okay, so let's see here. No, I cannot do that, but I can bring the spreadsheet to a side here. Yeah, I can see whether I can share the desktop in this scenario. Share the screen. So I have the spreadsheet on the side now. Yeah, now I'm going to show you a method what I would do. So here, the first thing I do is find the unit cost on all 4 or 5 or 6 different dates. So I'm going to say 02, 03. This is the March. 1203, 14th 03, then 17th 03, and then 21st 03. So this is the first part we have. We already know the number of units, 200, 350, 350, and then 300. And then also I'm going to say the cost of them is going to be 1,500, 2,765, 2,800, and the last but the least 2,430. And then it also shows you have issued 750 units. Okay, but here I'm going to use this opportunity to find the unit cost. So here this divide by this, it should be giving you the unit cost of each one of those scenarios. I'm going to copy and paste here. I'm not bothered about this. I only bother about these 3 and this one to identify what we're actually talking about. All right. Now here, if I use FIFO method, where I'm going to take my first unit, I need to offer 750 units. Okay. So here, I'm going to say 750. I'm going to take my units from where? First unit has to come from that lot, isn't it? So the first issue, 2nd of March, because first in first out means I have to take the units from the top down. Last in first out, we're going to take something from bottom up, but we cannot take anything from 21st of March. Please remember that the goods were issued on 17th of March. Therefore, you can only give the units which you start from 14th March and you go upwards. So therefore, here on LIFO, we use this to over there. So here, we're going to take 200 units. How many units we got so far? We only got 200. We need another 550. So we're going to choose something from 12th of March. Do I need all of it? Yes, I need all of it. And how many more I need? I need 200 more, but I'm going to use that from that one. 14th of March, I'm going to use here. 14th of March, 200 units. So now if I'm going to look at it, if I add these 3, it's going to be, and now if I'm going to do a quick formula here. So if I do this, and then if I do here, no. Where are we? Yes, it should give you, yeah, here you go, sigma. So it gives you the total value of 750 units we used up. What is the cost? Because if it's £8, we're using all of that 1,500 pounds. Okay. Then the second one, we're using all this 2,675 pounds. What we're using for the 14th, we need to multiply that by 8. That's going to be 1,600 pounds. So this 1,600 unit will cost you 5,865, because if I'm going to add these 3 together, the cost of the issue will be, using the FIFO method, it's going to be 5,865. So I'm going to put that figure here, 5,865, and it's not decimal, it is going to be nearest whole pound. So I'm going to use that now. But if I'm doing LIFO method, as I mentioned to you first, we're going to use this inversely. We're going to take something from the 14th March. We're going to take something from 12th March, and we're going to take something from the 2nd March. So this is the part you have to learn very carefully. You should not touch the 21st of March. So here I need all of that 350 from that day. If you look at that, 350 units. And then I also have 350 units from that one. That gives you 700 total. But how many I need? I need 750. So I have to go and dip into the 2nd of March. I'll take 50 from that day, and then it gives you straight away almost the same calculation. So here, if I say auto sum, that's 750. And this is going to be what? 2,800, the full of that inventory cost, 765, the full cost. And the next one is going to be 50 multiplied by, I find the star, multiplied by that figure, 375 pounds. So now then again, if I go here and if I do a total for this, where's the sum? There you go, cells, editing, yeah, auto sum, and it gives you a total cost of your issue of 5,940 pounds. Okay, so that is the amount we asked about. Now, before we go on further, I'm going to give you a quick tip. So here, look at this. This is the total of all your inventory. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select all of that, and I'm going to go here and auto sum this, find my total inventory cost. So here, if I add all of that, 9,495 pounds. So if I want to find the closing inventory at any level, which I've done FIFO or LIFO, the total cost minus the cost of issues will be your closing inventory. Okay, so here, for example, the closing inventory means closing inventory, it has to be equal to this minus that. So here I'm going to apply the same thing again. Closing inventory is going to be this minus that. That's my closing inventory. Okay, so here I keep that as a fact at the moment, but I'm just going to prove it. What is my closing inventory? So if I'm going to look at this option, what I have left if I'm doing FIFO, this is all gone. That is all gone. We took 200 from there. So we have 150 items here left, and that is going to be costing at £8 per unit. So it's going to be this multiplied by that. Okay, and then what else I have? I have this 300 as well. 300 units at 2,430. So if I look at these two, this is my closing inventory. What is the amount? Equal to that plus that. It is exactly the same amount. So I proved it. This is my closing inventory. Let's try for this one. Do we have anything from the 2nd of March? Yes, we use 50 and 150 left. So 150 of them. And then therefore, what is the cost of that one? So it's going to be equal to that amount multiplied by that £7.50 was bought on 1,125. And we also have 300 units at 2,430. Remember, this has not been issued by, it was received after the date of issue there. So in this scenario, the value of this closing inventory is going to be plus this with that one, 3,555. Exactly same as what I calculated before. This is my total inventory. Take away your the cost of issue, you'll get that amount. I only will go there if you're absolutely sure with your method of calculation. If you're not sure, please do this method to find the closing inventory and then check against these two to see whether you achieve the same amount there. So here they're saying to you, the closing inventory has been valued at 3,630, but it says here FIFO method has returned that one. So I'm going to choose FIFO is my method calculation it's used. So how many points for this? 6 marks. Not bad. It's long-winded, but it's still give you an idea of how the process get worked for you. Now let's look at the next one here. The closing inventory has been valued at 3,670, and the FIFO method has been used. No, don't worry about that. The Nova Limited pays a part-time rate of £15 per hour to its direct labor force for a standard 35 hours week. Any workforce working in excess of £15 per hour are paid overtime rate of a time and a half. Okay, so therefore they get extra money for their working overtime. The company is looking to compare the time rate with piece rate and paying £10 per completed unit. So what do you need to do now? You have to compare these two. What will be theirs? Okay, if no overtime premium is paid, you should enter 0 for that employee. So what is the premium? That's the question here. They want you to calculate the premium. So when somebody works in a business and they pay overtime, if they do any hours in extra, the basic rate for that will be still counted towards your basic wage. Only the additional amount they work on top of their work, for example, in this scenario, time and a half, which is £7.50, that is the overtime premium, will be used to calculate the overall overtime premium here. So, for example, somebody work 35 hours here, for example, they will not earn any overtime, therefore, 0 premium for them. Overtime rate is a different thing. Premium is only the extra amount they pay. If somebody say, what is your overtime rate? Then you'll say £22.50. Why? £15 time and a half is going to be £7.50 add to that one, £22.50. But if you say premium is just the extra you get paid on top. It's just skimming the milk on top there. That is the part you're going to get. So here, the basic wage for this person who works 35 hours will be calculated 35 multiplied by 15 hours, £525. You may say, oh, it's going to be same for this person as well. No, because this person has worked 4 hours overtime, therefore qualified for that overtime premium. But the base rate is calculated as £15 multiplied by the whole of the 39 hours they have worked. So it's going to be £585. And how many hours of overtime they done? The overtime they have worked, it's going to be 4 hours. 4 multiplied by £7.50 premium. Therefore, their overtime premium is going to be altogether £30 there. So that is their gross wage for either one of them. If you notice that here, if you look at the difference between those two, it's £90 there. So that makes sense. If I'm going to look at it, if in case these two people are only working 35 hours, each will be earning 525. This person has worked 4 hours extra. The amount he earns per hour is going to be £22.50 multiplied by 4 hours. It's £90. So if you add that to that one, you still get the same amount. Your total will not change. Only the way you calculate it, it's slightly different when it comes to overtime premium. But let's look at the piecework rate. Piecework rate, it says here, £10 per completed unit. So 10 multiplied by 60 is going to be 600. And this person is going to get 550 per unit. They will get £10. And we just find two different methods of calculation in one question there. Let's answer it and let's move on. Now, this question got 20 marks there, and it's all because you have a spreadsheet involved in there. Okay, similar to some of the things you have done before. This is all down to the bit of a knowledge gathering before you move on to the next section. Next section means the next qualifications you want to be going for. So here, Bright Star Limited is manufacturer of board games. You have been provided with the following information in a spreadsheet, and we're going to look at it as how I'm going to go through this spreadsheet here. Using the information provided in cell A1 to E8. So if you look at that here, there's no reference information there. So I don't have to go back and forward. It's quite straightforward by the look of it. Using the information to A1, which is this, and to E8, what we need to do, formulas must be used for figures entered in cell B11, B15, D11, E11. So everything on this 11 here, in this scenario, they have highlighted it. These all should have a formula there. And then the rest of them, you must manually enter the cell references. Do not enter any space into the formula cell. So you don't have to worry about that. You just start to put them as a very simplified formulas. You should use standard round brackets where relevant in formulas. So therefore, when you're doing the formulas, you have to use the round brackets. It is common sense. Anyone who's done a formula, you know, You cannot use the other brackets. You use this one, realistically. Remaining cells should be completed using the figures only. So you have to use your calculator in that scenario to find what is the amount missing there. Show adverse variances using the minus signs, which is also very important. Monetary values should be to the nearest pound. So there is no decimals required. The variance percentage calculated column has been pre-formatted to decimal places. So you don't have to even worry about it. It automatically does the formula for you, or the not formula, the decimal number for you. So therefore, now let's look into the question now. They're asking you here, fill in all in the boxes. So the revenue, how I'm going to find the revenue? If I have a budget of 5,000 units, 5,000 multiplied by 30 units, it's going to give me, this is equal to this number here, which is B4 multiplied by B3. That should give me the number there. So that is absolutely fine. Now they want you to find what is the variance. Variance, you also have to remember, for sales and purchase, the expenses, it is different. When it comes to sales, a negative variance means your actual is lower than your budget. When it comes to cost, it's other way around. Your actual is going to be higher, than your budget. So that means if you spend more than your budget on your expenses, that is adverse. If you spend less, that's going to be favorable for the expenses, but the sales on the other way around. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply find the adverse variance, which is equal to here C11 minus B11. So I have a minus 3,600 there. Remember, this is an adverse variance. I cannot put this number manually. Otherwise, I can do this way and put a negative in front of the formula. It will give me the same answer. So let's see how I got marks for it. Okay, see whether what I done there, it's correct. Okay, that is how it should be. But the percentage of variance in this scenario, it has to be calculated. Variance divided by the budget multiplied by 100. So I'm going to do here equal to D11 divide by B11, yeah. And I'm going to multiply this by 100%. Okay, so if I done that, oh, it's saying it's not valid. So I may have done something correct there. So let's see whether I can take this away, and it has the formula already pre-formatted. Therefore, I'm just only going to do that. Let's see. It has done to 0.06 there, and then it also given you that. So it is still not right, because the variance is definitely not 0.06. Okay, 1% of that is going to be 1,400. So it's going to be almost 6%. So I need to find out how I'm going to get this. I'm going to do brackets this way, and then I'm going to multiply by 100. Then I have this percentage here. So that makes sense now, because I don't have to do the percentage sign. Therefore, because the percentage is already here, this one is going to be minus 6.14. So I have to make sure I got that information done accordingly there. Next one, it asks you to find the direct material. I don't have to do the formula for that. I just have to multiply the cost per kilogram multiplied by that. It's going to be 28,000. This one is going to be 2,300 multiplied by 15, 34,500. And then also production overheads here, and that is going to be something called 50,000 pounds. It is already there. It's been given to you. Now I have to do a formula. So the formula is going to be this one, B11 to B14. So I can do sum of B11 to B14. This is how Excel does it. Okay, but let's see this works here. Add all of that together. Yes, it worked for me. I can individually do that as well. I can say B11 plus B12 plus B13 plus B14. It will still work. But I used a formula. If you look at that, sum of this range, the range is from B11 to B14. You see that here, instead of using a plus, I used a colon. A colon, it denotes a range of Excel cells. So I have done that now. Now let's look at the next one. The next one is to find whether I have any positive or negative variance on this one. So here I'm going to say this is going to be equal to this. Hold on. They don't want you to use a formula. We have to calculate it ourselves. So here budget minus actual 33,750 has given me minus 5750. Here this is going to be minus 1,500. And this is also plus 5,000 because my expenses are actually lower than my budgeted. So therefore, this scenario, I'm going to add 3 negative figures and 1 positive figure. And let's see what I get there. 5,000. This one, I'm going to use the positive numbers for this one and negative number the other one, and then put a minus at the end of it. The difference between them is going to be 11,000, but minus 11,850 here. No formula required. All I have to do is the percentages. I have to calculate it using my calculator. And I have to use a negative calculator figure if it's going to be an adverse variance. So this I'm going to divide by the budgeted figure, 2,800, multiply by 100, 2 decimals, giving me 20.54. This one is going to be equal to, no, I just have to put the figure there. It's not a problem. 1,500 divide by 34,500. That gives me 4.35 minus 4.35. That is fairly straightforward. It's the 10% variance there. So it's going to be automatically decimalized for 2. And this one, 11,850 divided by 262,500 multiply by 100. I will get 4.51 decimals. But don't forget, it is a minus figure there. So here it is a minus. Now let's look at the next one. Identify whether the following variance is adverse or favorable. Of course, the profit or loss variance is definitely going to be an adverse because I have less profit than I am going to be expecting. Look at the profit here. And no, this is different. It should be other way around. I have done incorrectly here, am I? Yeah. So here, I'm going to change the range to 12. But this one is going to be B11 because I completely missed. This is not just all expenses. Might be embarrassing to admit, but I have read it now. I've seen there is a what do you call discrepancy because I was thinking all of them are cost. This happens to you in the exam as well. You're looking at there's a list of number. Oh, I'm going to use that number straight away. I'm going to do a whole total. But here, remember, revenue minus the expenses is going to be a profit. So this is your revenue minus all of these expenses. Sum of these 3 figures, it's going to be an expense. So let's see. Yes. So here, 37,500. Minus 25,650, it is going to be 11,850. It proves my profit has come down. This is the budgeted profit. My actual profit is lower. Therefore, I have an adverse variance there. So I think I have answered it. But now I'm just transported back to task 5. For some reason, I must have skipped it. I must have pressed next button by accident. I have gone through to that question. I haven't done so. But there is a reason for it because it has a spreadsheet there. So I just didn't want to do that after question number 5, then come off spreadsheet and do the spreadsheet. Now again, so here I have a way to do the spreadsheet again with some formulas. So here, let's see what they're asking you to do. There is some formatting involved there as well. I'm hoping not to take too long with this. This task is about calculating cost of products using the tools and techniques to provide improve the presentation of information. Below is a manufacturing account of Basque Limited. Purchase of raw materials for the year is 17,500. So what you know now, the amount is already been given to you. Use the correct options for cell A from the list provided. So here they have to choose what options we're going to do. We're going to use that one. That's fine. Insert the purchase of raw materials into cell B3. Insert B3 as an accounting to nil decimal places. Okay, so here as accounting to nil decimal places. So we have to do bit of a formatting there, and then also calculate all the other missing figures in column B. Show your answers to the nearest pound. Do not use the spreadsheet formulas when entering your answer. Don't use the formulas. You just type the answers in. You just use your calculator. Underline and bold contents in cell A1. So this cell A1, this one here, it needs to be underlined and bold the content. So here, now first thing is insert the correct option. So here, if you remember the use of raw materials, all of that, it's simply going to count as my direct material use. Because if you see opening inventory plus purchases and take away this closing inventory will give you the direct materials to use. So remember, when you're using the calculation, all your closing inventories are negative figures because they get taken away. Opening inventory get added to the previous subtotal. So in this scenario, whatever it is here, we're going to find that information now. So then let's see. If you add your manufacturing overhead to your direct cost, you get cost manufacturing cost here. Then if you consolidate your work in progress with your manufacturing cost, you get good cost of goods manufactured. And last one, once you consolidate your finished goods, the finished goods will give you the cost of goods sold. This is the amount you use in your profit and loss statement as your cost of goods sold. When it comes to like a manufacturing business, you will not just say, oh, purchase and close. Now, this is all involved in there. You learn all about it in more detail in level 3. At the moment, it's a simple exposure for that one. So here, let's see the second one. They want you to insert the figure from here, 17,500, and I have to type it here, 17,500. I inserted that now, but it's not got a pound sign. It does not have any decimals. It don't need decimals, but it has to have a particular format. How I do that? Can you see here? There's something called number. Whilst you selected this column, click on this number and you see different formats there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the accounting format as selected. So once I selected it, it has given you a pound sign, the thousand separator, and also given you a decimals, but they want you to get the decimals to nil. So here, there is an option to either increase a decimal or decrease decimal. So I'm going to do decrease, no decimals there now. The decimals are gone away completely. Perfect. Now let's do the next part. We have to calculate the figures. We have done that. We have done that. Also, we have done that. Now we just have to do our maths. So here, 5,000 plus 17,500 minus 6,000, it given me 16,500. So here, I have done that. It is automatically formatted anyway because they have preset it. At the direct labor, you get 24,500. But then again, that figure's already been given to us. Okay, so this way, information's been given 24,500. Manufacturing overheads added to this one, it's going to give me 49,500 here because your direct cost plus your manufacturing overheads is going to be your manufacturing cost. Now, working in opening inventory, it's get added on and take away your closing inventory. That is a plus 500 there. So that is going to be 50,000 pounds on this. Because if you add that and take that away, if you just look at this as a formula, you simply know that whatever you're going to get is going to be 500 added to the previous total. That's it. Next one is also similar. It's a 5,000 different between those two amounts. I'm going to do add that 5,000 to that one to give you 55,000 pounds. Okay, so that is the final answer there. Are we finished? We are not. We still have to underline and bold the contents on that cell. So we select that cell and we're going to say bold and underline, not italics, underline. So here, can you see this becomes the heading, a manufacturing account for your spreadsheet there. So we have done what is all requested of us, and we have to be very careful as well. When you do this one, there are some other options there. If you want, you can play around with it, but it's not necessary. Do not waste your time with this. Just crack on. That should give me an idea. I have done all my questions, but let me go back and check all of it, whether I have answered everything. Yes, I have answered everything here. Let's look at the next one. I have answered everything here. Yep, that looks fine. I have answered everything here as well. I have answered everything here as well. Yep, that's done. Done. Absolutely done. Absolutely done as well. So I'm pretty much sure it's all done there. Let's submit the assessment, see whether we're done okay. I may miss mark here and there, but it's the learning curve for me. I managed to find this error. I corrected it. That saved me a mark, definitely. All right. So let's see. Anything's going to be a positive figure for me here. So let's look at my final answers. Yeah, there is 2 marks going on both of them. Okay, so here, question number 5 and question number 7, I missed some marks out. So I'm pretty sure I have done everything they ask of me. I'm not sure what I missed out. Underline, bold the contents of cell A1, which I have done as well. That is 2 marks there. Yeah, we calculated that figures. The figures are all fine as far as I know. I'm just going to skip through to see what could be leading to that 2 marks have gone. And the last one for the example here, we have the biggest one. Yeah, I'm not sure why we have got a different percentage. 5,000. Yeah, I got all the numbers right there. Yeah, I'm pretty much sure that that is kind of a concerning for me. I'm going to retry this question somehow. Maybe I post something on the comments later on the web, when on the YouTube video. You probably see some more in there, but not bad. Out of 80, I got 76. So if I got 76, 76 divided by 0.8, that gives me 95 out of 100. Not bad for the an hour of work here. Managed to get some of the information down there, but I'm not still sure why the amount was different for me. Maybe I have done a part formula somewhere, or my formulas somehow got cleared out. I don't know. I'm kind of perplexed here. 150,000. The amounts are all fine. The figures I have done all right as well. So just going to skip through here to see whether what could have led to that problem later on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. 2 marks out of 12. It's kind of a teetering on something definitely missed out there, but I'll check it again. I'll put something in the comments. I'll retry these questions, just these 2 questions later on, and if I find what is the difference, be sure to check back again on the comment section. So you'll probably find my comments there saying why there's a slight difference. Okay, so now let's see here. Where's my teams? All right then, guys. Yeah, it was good, and we tried to do. Let's see. Stop sharing. Yeah, yeah, that should be it. And I'll see whether I can find the bookkeeping, not bookkeeping, principle of costing practice assessment 2 later on, and see whether I can do that question within a few weeks. And then obviously we will use that as another example of why I must have missed out a few marks here, because the second exam is almost going to be similar. Let's look into that one later on. And obviously, we'll come back to that when we have a bit of spare time, and we'll work with that later on. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate, I've got now over 280 subscribers, and that's something I never expected at the beginning. So be sure to like and subscribe to that channel, and then please pass that information to your friends. And obviously, some of them might find it very useful. Some of them already set for exams, and you are hoping to do a revision, or you want to resit anything like that. You may find this much more useful to you as well, because you already had the exposure of the exam, and then it's just fine tuning the last bit there. So fingers crossed. I wish you all the best, and hopefully I see you again with more videos on most AAT exams feedback. And cheerio. Take care. Bye bye.